No.
Oh, that's a sad.
I'm going camping once. That's
Good for you, Kathy.
yeah. Although I don't know if David will be able to go. So at least Nicholas knows what he's doing now. So I don't feel so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go camping?
Up Highway 4, past, I don't know if you know where, like, Big Trees, Arnold's, keep going. It's called Pacific Valley. My mom grew up going there when she was little, and all of her cousins, and there's different cabins, but we camp because the cabin doesn't have electricity, which I'm fine with, but it also doesn't have a good vacuum and way to suck up all the bugs and mice run around in the winter, and it's closed and it's just gross. I love being in there, but I can't sleep. I feel like you can hear, like, I hear things and the animals. I'd rather be in my tent and have bears walk by than that. But it's the most gorgeous valley, and the hiking's amazing. And I went there growing up. My mom went there growing up, and my sister goes, and my brother goes, and it's just, yeah. So, and a lot of the people that go there have been going there since they were kids too. So it's just a really neat place. And you don't have to make reservations. You just drive in and look for spots and
Sweet.
pay your $10 a night.
Wow. Yeah, we go outside of Crescent City to Jedediah Smith, and boy, you have to make them on the minute 6 months before.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of places I'd like to go, and I end up not being able to because of that. So
Yeah.
Okay,
Kathy, what was the name of that place?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Creighton.
No, I'll follow up with Kathy later.
Okay, Chair, we're ready.
Wonderful. Okay. We are calling.
Recording in progress.
Oh boy, there's a.
Super.
There we go. We are calling the meeting of the Parks and Community Services Commission to order. The time is 6:34. And Commissioner Margolotti, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Liz, can we please have a roll call?
Yes. Honorary Commissioner Munn.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Griggs.
Here.
Commissioner Cervente.
Here.
Commissioner Margolotti.
Here.
Vice Chair Einberger.
Here.
And Chair Mammerl.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. And Liz, do we have any public comment, either by phone or by email?
Not at this time, Chair.
Great. Thank you. So we'll open up the floor for commissioner comments. Actually, before we do that, just a friendly reminder from our last commission meeting of a little, just a little procedural change. Basically, after the business item or report is heard, the floor will be open for commissioner questions. So feel free to state your question or use the raise hand feature on Zoom to be recognized if there's multiple people asking questions. And this is all, of course, in the interest of time and efficiency. I'm not, as chair, I will not be calling on each commissioner for a question or a comment. So we are opening up the floor for commissioner comments. But feel free to pipe in, Commissioner or Vice Chair Einberger.
Okay. Don't really have much, but Seroptimus Bingo will be a week from tonight at 7 o'clock. And we're also going to be in the street fair on July 7th that the chamber is doing. That's all I have.
Thank you much.
I'll go next. Is that okay?
Of course, Commissioner Shavenzi, go ahead.
So I have some comments. First of all, a big thank you for the Pride Flags raising ceremony. It was a really beautiful ceremony, and it's really great seeing the Pride flag flying at City Hall and at all of our schools here in American Canyon. A special thanks to Sandy Sutter and Nance Matson for singing a beautiful song. Next is the city has now the African American Coalition flyer. I sent it, but probably I sent it too late for Ms. Lozano to share. But she'll share it in English and Spanish on the newsletters. Also tune in on June 15 for the council meeting. We have ACMS has a special presentation to celebrate Justin Hall. So tune into that. Also a big thank you to Cindy Biederman for putting together last minute the Memorial Day ceremony. It was such a beautiful ceremony. Also to the all the other committees and folks that help out with putting it together. It just goes to show the awesome community support that it's here in American Canyon. It was really beautiful, and then we also had a flyby. I don't remember the kind of aircraft, but it was a big one. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Savente. Anyone else with commissioner comments?
I'll jump in. So American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation, if you haven't seen it, check it out. All kinds of fun stuff happening this summer. The summer kickoff celebration is Friday, the 16th. It'll be at Shenandoah Park, and that's going to be a big kickoff for all of the summer park and plays. And this one in particular will have a ribbon cutting for the story walk that's around the park, live music, lots of fun park and play activities. Some new items will be out there. Live music with Clarence. And it'll be every other Friday during the summer. It'll be at rotating parks. Curiosity Kid meetups will be on Tuesday mornings in July. And then again, the tickets go on sale for the gala at the Night at the Ruins, which will be on September 18th. So go to the website, check it out. Lots of fun things happening this summer. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Marialotti.
I have some comments as well.
Great.
So I stopped by Boys and Girls Club today at the American Canyon Clubhouse, and they have a flyer out for Cub Scouts. So Cub Scout signups is open. They have a Facebook page, AmCan Cub Scouts 7178. That's our local troop. And they have a Gmail account, same thing, AmCan Cub Scouts at gmail.com. So signups are open for both girl and boy scout clubs. And then Boys and Girls Club is kicking off their club donation drive with Michaels. So our Michaels store in Vallejo, if you go there and make a purchase, you can round up by $1, $3, or $5. And those donations will go straight to our local Boys and Girls Club. Also, they are fully enrolled for the summer program at the main American Canyon Clubhouse with a wait list of 50 families, and likely will be continuing to operate under the current CDC guidelines and protocols because they're dealing with an unvaccinated population. So the June 15th date doesn't really mean anything for them, but they are under enrolled for the 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Program at Canyon Oaks, which is a supplemental program to the EDMO summer school program that the district is offering. So they were asked to prioritize EDMO students and intervention for first preference, but on Monday it's going to open up to everyone, and that's for K-5, and that goes June 21st through July 30th, 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. It will not be an all-day program because they don't have the staffing for that. And then Spirit Horse is going to offer a kid instructor day on Tuesday, July 13th from 5 to 6 p.m. and 6 to 7 p.m. And it's $50 per adult. And your kid will get to lead you around on a horse and teach you a thing or two that they have been learning. And they're going to also offer a English writing camp in the summer. The summer camp will focus on the English writing style, crafts, horse care, and more, and suitable for all writing levels, ages 5 and up, July 19th to 21st from 9 a.m. to noon. And a Western writing camp, July 26th to 28th from 9 a.m. to noon. And lastly, 4-H is having a buyer barbecue Saturday, June 12th from noon to 3. For anyone interested in buying the animals at the upcoming auction on July 10th at Napa Fairgrounds. This is our sneak peek and gives the kids an opportunity to present. The auction at the fair on July 10th is open to the public and is a tax write-off for anyone that donates to the kids or buys their animals. And that is all.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Griggs.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moon, go
Can
for
I
it.
just jump in really quick? Hi, I just want to say really quickly that I was really sad that I missed the last meeting. It was a day after I had my second dose, so I was feeling under the weather. And I wanted to comment on American Canyon's first ever Pride event, the American Canyon Pride pop-up on June 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I saw on Twitter a lot of the youth are really excited and they feel represented, so I think it's a success. I just wanted to comment on that, and also the story walk. I told a lot of my friends and fellow, just high schoolers my age about it, and they're excited as well, even though they're like my age, but they're like, wow, that's really cool. I'll take my younger siblings on a walk. So just wanted to comment that.
That is wonderful, thank you. My only comments are, one, that the Friends of the American Canyon Library, they are accepting book donations this upcoming Saturday, June 12th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's over at that's over at the library, of course. And also wanted to give a big thanks for the city and the staff and for everybody that attended the Asian Solidarity Rally last month, May 17th at Shenandoah Park. It was, just a wonderful show of support for the Asian community members, who are still, and Asian community in general nationwide is still being victimized by hate crimes. So I'm just very thankful that that American Canyon is so outward with its support. So another cool thing was, all the speakers at that event, they introduced themselves as, "Hi, my name is blank. I'm fully vaccinated," and I've kind of adopted that as a general way to greet, to introduce myself at other events. So there you go. Are there any agenda changes which the commissioners request? Okay, wonderful. Seeing no agenda changes, we will move on to item A1, receiving a presentation by staff acknowledging significant support received from the American Canyon CERT last year, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. Okay, turning it over to, I guess, Creighton and Alana, I believe, for this one.
I'll start it off and then turn it over quickly to Alana. So I think our PCS Commission and most of our community recognizes and acknowledges the great support and dedication that we get from many of our community volunteers, but CERT especially in this last year has been critical for us to, frankly, I think, get through successfully the pandemic. So I wanted to first off just acknowledge Pal and all the rest of the CERT members. I know we have one other one here in the audience, at least one other in the audience that I know of. So I wanted to start off with that, and then I think I'll turn it over to Alana now to actually go through the acknowledgement and what happened here in the last 6 weeks or so.
Thanks, Creighton. So yeah, as Creighton said, we just wanted to kind of call CERT here today in front of you guys to showcase the award that they received for CPRS District 1. So each year we have an awards and installation banquet, and at the banquet, we acknowledge different cities, and they have one shining star for their community that receives an award. The award is Creating Community Through People, Parks, and Programs. So it's the Community Service Award is what CERT was awarded that night. So this was the end of April. So we just wanted to, again, have CERT here and kind of share that with you guys, that is an award they have. And I actually have the really cool plaque I need to give to Pal. Oh, I'm gonna take my virtual background off for a second. Yeah. So this is the plaque that they will receive. So Pal, I will work with you to get that to you. As well as we have some City of American Canyon Gators that we wanted to give each CERT member that has helped out for the past year and a half. Creighton kind of touched on it. They have helped us with our food distributions. They've helped us with events that we've had, our Halloween event, our spring event, kind of any event that I ask, they usually are like, yep, how can we help you? And Pal has definitely taught me a couple of things about traffic and flow of traffic. So I do have to thank him for that. He's been kind of the leading person to educate me on that. So, and then they've not only helped us, but they also continue to help just Napa County with the vaccine sites and testing sites, and they have been tremendous with their help and always generous. So I just wanted to say thank you from kind of Parks and Rec. We definitely wouldn't have been able to do food distributions and events and all of these other things that we rely on them for. So I'm so glad that CPRS District 1 was able to acknowledge them that night. And again, tonight with you guys. So I was going to open it up to Pal if you wanted to share anything about CERT.
Yes.
And then we can kind of go to commissioners after that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
First of all, let me just thank you on behalf of the American Canyon CERT Board of Directors and also all of the members that participated in many, many events with many hours. It's a pleasure to work with you folks, and we want to continue that support as any way possible. It takes many, many people to do some of the things we did this past year. CERT contributed 12,000 hours in 2020, all volunteer work. And we just want to continue to be able to support you any way we can. We have 23 sworn members that contributed a lot of those hours. And we also got support from the Napa County CERT folks throughout the county. So it wasn't just us in American Canyon, but it took the whole family to do it. So thank you very much for this award. And like I said, we just continue to look forward to helping any way we can.
Thank you again, Pal. Definitely appreciate it. Chair, did you want to open up for any commissioner thoughts?
Absolutely, yes. So at this time, we will open it up for commissioner comments. Feel free to jump right in.
Yeah, I just have a big, big thank you for all you and all the rest of the members have done. Well appreciated.
Welcome. And I see Karina showing off here a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go next. So I'm so proud to be wearing my cert. I'm one of those 23 members. So proud of Powell and the team. They have done an outstanding job, not just here in the city, but in the county. If you don't know yet, they actually have been, we CERT have been since day one helping out at the fairgrounds doing testing for COVID and then vaccinations for COVID. So it's just tremendous the amount of work that CERT and the team does, but Powell and the board of directors just go above and beyond. It's just really amazing on all the work that they do, and it's all volunteer, like he says. Also, you know, not only that, they're helping ACMS during our promotion, because we had to kind of redo our promotion plans very, very last minute. We had a week and a half to plan it, and you know, I gave Powell a call and asked for help, and wow, he's like, yep, we'll get it done. And then he also gave us a lot of extra feedback that we're actually applying that, you know, we didn't think about it. So it's just tremendous the amount of work that they do here in the city. So thank you for that, Powell, and the rest of the team. I'm proud to be a CERT member, and I hope that, you know, if anybody's listening out there, you know, send the commission an email or director or myself, and we'll get you in touch to get training and get our numbers up. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other commissioners?
I'd just like to say a big thank you. I work at the hospital, and so I am acutely aware of all of the necessary testing and vaccinations and what happened at the fairgrounds. And there was a lot of people that came through there. So thank you for scheduling, organizing, managing all of them, getting everyone tested, getting everyone vaccinated. It is really, really important, absolutely necessary work. And 23 of you sounds like quite a small team for such a large task. So I know you put a lot of hours in. So thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
I just want to add thank you also. You guys definitely have a presence in the community. Just a question. I know there's been times in the past where I've seen, I know Karina was saying like message if you're interested in training, but there's been times in the past where it seems like there's been an advertisement for that there would be a training. I know things have been different in this last year. Do you see any kind of group training in the future or offerings for that type of?
Yeah, we usually offer 5 classes a year. It's a 3-day class. We tried to do virtual, which worked pretty well. And then we just did our very first in-person since the whole pandemic started. So I would look, there was going to be more training coming, I think, as we get back to what is the new norm. I know we have some training coming up in June. I'm not sure if that class is full or not, but just if you go on the county webpage and just punch in CERT, it has a list of all the classes that are offered.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, Powell, you know, I mean, we know you locally, and we appreciate you and the rest of the team. It's just also nice to, you know, and a big source of pride to see you you all get recognized at the California state level as well. You know, you're definitely in good company. It was a few years back that you know, our Dr. Nicolini was received a somewhat similar CPRS award as a champion of the community, and you know, you are, you know, yeah, you're definitely champions of our community, and you know, a big part of what makes American Canyon special. So you know, just lots of gratitude for you and the team, and you know, our own Commissioner Savente right here. So yeah, and we always see you around. So it's just
I would love to see you all in green and black. Come join.
Well, you got one of us. I have no doubt others will follow.
Right. Well, once again, thank you very much for the nomination for this award, and we accept it humbly. And we're going to continue to take care of our community the best that we can, and grow from every experience. So I look forward to seeing you guys out there in the future.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Big round of applause for you. Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Okay. That is a wonderful way to start off our PCS meeting. We're moving on to business item A2, receiving a presentation by Calabria Care on the Dementia Capable Program.
And Chair, I'll turn this one over to Alana. Just a quick overview that our staff's been working with the folks at Calabria to deliver this presentation within the community. And so we'll have a member of their staff, Ms. Gerard, give a quick overview in a moment. Alana, do you want to do any other introduction?
Pretty much said what I was going to say. So I don't want to take Melissa's thunder with sharing kind of what they do and who they are. So Melissa Gerard, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for letting me join your meeting and presenting about our Dementia Capable Napa County grant. I'm not sure if many of you have heard of our grant, but we got it right before the pandemic, so it's been hard to get our word out. But what we've been trying to do through this grant is creating a more age-friendly and dementia-friendly community. And I've had a meeting with Karina before about getting more into the American Canyon community so that we can touch other groups of people like the Latinx population and others that may not know about dementia and could use some kind of unique opportunities for education. So why we got the grant in general for Napa County is because we have a growing population of people over the age of 65. And it is shown that the highest risk for dementia and Alzheimer's is age. So that is why Dementia Capable Napa County came to Calabria Care, because we have these services. And what we are trying to do, again, we're trying to implement this so that we're trying to empower families, our community, and others around dementia, and so that we can support those within our community to be able to have kind of to age in place. So that's a really big part of the grant, is to age in place, and I'll highlight that a little bit more in the other part of my presentation. So Dementia Capable, again, we're building a community. We're growing partnerships with people that are built into the community already and have trusted relationships within community members and groups of people. We're inspiring organizations to promote education and also become what we call our Napa County navigators. So those that kind of know the signs and symptoms of dementia. And then we have expertise. So we got this grant from the ACL, in which it's Administration for Community Living. It's a federally funded organization that funds and supports networks like Calabria Care, who support older adults and family members through the research that they're doing nationwide, education, and innovative projects. So we were awarded the Dementia Capable, it was $1 million that was awarded to Calabria Care so that we can get our Alzheimer's services and our dementia services throughout our community more accessibly. And so it takes a village. So we have many members of our team. We have Celine. Many people may know of Celine. We have Jill Wood, myself, who I'm the program manager. I forgot to mention who I was. I'm the program manager of the Dementia Capable Napa County Grant. We also have Raina, who is our bicultural, bilingual community health worker, and she's really on the ground in our community trying to help those families and also people that are living alone that have mild cognitive impairment or dementia. And then we also have our team. We have Antonia, who works in the day program, and Barbara, who is our physical therapist. And I'll mention those two in another part of the presentation and why they're important. And then we have Sammy Rogers, who really helps caregivers navigate through our services and other kind of services throughout the community, but also in collaborative care. So in this grant, we are able to provide services, and I highlight those specifically, but we get to identify people that are living alone and those that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. So people in that group are higher risk for dementia. So that's why we have the opportunity to kind of create programming around that. And people that are living alone tend to not have family members that recognize or don't have family members at all, that their cognitive and their cognitive state are been declined. I mentioned Antonia and Barbara because they are the head people for our RDAT and STAR-C programs, and that was put into our day program so that we're able to expand services for those that can't have physical therapy or other kind of social aspects in our program. So we're able to expand it further through the Dementia Capable Napa County Grant. We also provide consultations for family members for free. And so that was given to us where if you're not part of the day program, we're now able to help you navigate through these services as a family member. We also host our community-based workshops. So for many years, we did our lunch and learns, but now we're able to expand that. And we have a series right now called Stages, the 3 stages of dementia. And those go through the early stages, the mid, and the late stages. So we were able to use funds from this grant to be able to expand our education services for those in the community. We're also providing consultation and trainings for Queen of the Valley for their medical staff and other staff members that have contact with older adults. So they're ER nurses and other people. And so the signs and symptoms of dementia and kind of best practices for communication and how to refer to collaborative care so that we can help navigate the families, but also help staff. And the Napa County Navigator Trainings is a unique opportunity that reaches organizations such as coffee shops or small businesses like libraries and even bigger businesses like, or organizations, like the first responders and other ones to know the signs and symptoms and have customizable trainings so that we can target their needs throughout. Karina and I had spoke about potentially getting into the school system in American Canyon and being able to do trainings like this for staff members, but even students who have grandparents that may not know that, or that they can see the signs and symptoms of what may potentially be going on. And again, the biggest risk factor for dementia and Alzheimer's is age, and our community is having a shift of older adults in our community. And so, as I mentioned, we have our classes. And so right now, today was actually our first class for the 3 stages. So next week, we'll be hosting our second class for our dementia in the mid stage. So we'll talk about things caregivers can do. In American Canyon specifically, on June 23rd, I have connected with Vincent, and we are going to host over Zoom a Napa County community workshop. So this is hosted in Spanish, and it's going to go through the signs and symptoms. And so it's open to whomever would like to join. And again, there's no commitment on how you use this knowledge, but what it is, it's that you get to know about the signs and symptoms, where the best referral sources are, and kind of maybe best practices if you're an everyday contact or family members kind of start recognizing, oh, maybe this might be a sign of dementia. We're hoping in the future, we haven't had a Spanish Mind Boosters. So we're hoping to create a Spanish Mind Boosters and pilot that potentially in American Canyon so that we can, again, really touch populations that we haven't been able to before. And I think American Canyon is probably the best place to start, and then we'll work our way up the valley. But the grant is really meant to touch every little pocket of the valley, from Engwin to Calistoga to American Canyon and to the center of town. And so what we're trying to do is get the word out. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to let me present to you. And this is the contact information. If you guys have any questions about trainings, how to do referrals, or anything that I've presented today. And a little shout out to the team. And again, it takes a village to kind of help everyone understand things. So. Open to questions if anyone
Yes.
has any questions. Yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen now.
It's a wonderful presentation, Melissa. Thank you for your work. Yes, we're opening up the floor to commissioner questions.
Can I go? I'll go first. My computer died midway through your presentation, but thank you for what I saw. I'm a high schooler, so I noticed that you mentioned that you wanted to expand this into like the youth, into schools. I think I speak for ACHS. I think our community is very like a close-knit community, and we're very supportive. So if you were to bring it, I promise you that a lot of the students would be passionate about it. Just hearing about it, just listening to your presentation, I am passionate about it. I would love to be trained as a navigator, participate in workshops. I think we would even post on our Instagram to spread awareness about dementia, to show that we're in support of the elders in our community. I had a question for the workshop that you had coming up, I think June 23rd, for the youth as well, or is it just for, adults or?
So it's going to be hosted in Spanish, and it's for all age groups. So it's something that anyone can join, but we do customize training. So if it was something for high school students, we could customize it a little bit more in kind of best practices of communication with family members, or how to even spread the word of what the program is. So the one that we're doing on the 23rd, that's really just a generalized kind of getting the word out, understanding what our programming is, and what the best referral source is, or when I say referral, it's kind of just how you reach out to Calabria Care, or actually myself, how you reach out to myself so that you can be connected to the right people. Because we find that people kind of get jumbled around in finding services, and they get to one person and they put to another person. So we're trying to really streamline families who are going through this new journey, or this journey they haven't had help with for a while. So if I'm open to, if you'd like my email, I will actually put my email into the chat so everyone can have it. And it's something that if you reach out to me, I'm kind of the navigation person to every single service within the day program side of Calabria Care.
Okay, yeah, I'll email you.
Okay.
I would just I know for next year, I was appointed as one of the class officers this year for next year, sorry. So I just know that our class is very passionate about things that are not really brought up. So I think that this is very interesting, and that a lot of people would be passionate about it as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I think bridging generational gaps too is a really cool part about this project. So if there's somewhere where you or your members in your school would like to create kind of a bridge project, we can support you, and that it would be a great senior project to do too, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So the 3 stages of dementia that you said, that presentation was hosted on Zoom, and you said that the first one happened today?
Yes.
Is this something that you have to register for?
So we do have a registration to register for the class, and I will put that registration in the chat as well. So I'll put my number, the 2 registration links, because the American Canyon one for the 23rd is also in Spanish and over Zoom. So I can do that. And then if you would like to put your email or if you email myself, I can send you the flyer, which automatically goes to the link.
Okay,
And I'm
great.
happy to follow up with Alana or with Vincent and send the flyers to you guys.
And the one that you had today, was that recorded? Like if we wanted to join the next 2, is it recorded so we could watch the first one prior to next week?
So our trainings are recorded, and at this time we are trying to work out how to share the recordings because not technically, our technology won't let us send the files. They're too big. So I can't send the file to someone but we're trying to put it up on YouTube. And you don't need to come to the 1, 2, 3 to come to the classes, because we're just talking about the early stage, mid stage, and late. So you can come whenever.
Okay, great. And then I would also just like to say a huge thank you to all of Calabria Care and your whole team. My dad actually has dementia and has been living out of the home at a boarding care. Now he's at Pioneers Nursing Home. And before the pandemic, he was going to Calabria Care every Wednesday and getting physical therapy. And he worked with one of your therapists, and they created his life story and put it on like a little 10-minute montage video. And he was so proud to come show all the family his little video life story. And they also, there was transportation. I don't think that was through Calabria Care. It was through
Find Go.
Find Go, yeah.
So it's contracted, yeah.
So I was wondering if in the future you're looking towards expanding that transportation here in AC and having some sort of day program that would model the NAPA program for our local AC residents.
Mm-hmm. I can't speak to that per se, since I'm more of the outreach arm for other services rather than the day program. But I will put Jill Wood. She's the director of the program, and she would be the best person to ask that. But yes, we had contracted with Vine Go to come and pick up participants. That's those that come to the program. We call them participants because they're participating throughout our program, and they're not patients nor are they clients of ours. We are all participating and having a good time at Calabria Care. But
he had a great time. He had a great time. He really. Are you guys going to start that program up again in Napa after June 15th, perhaps?
So we have been open for participants to come in at small numbers. We have, I think, about 7 people that can come in at a time. We've been open, I think, the beginning or in middle of April. But we also have our hybrid where we have participants who Zoom in. So we've been able to kind of create this hybrid program where during the pandemic, people were able to Zoom, and we were serving them by sending them packages and customizable person-centered care packages of activities. So caregivers could kind of help assist with, like, I wouldn't say entertaining, but being able to create moments where it wasn't all on them. And so the program was still very involved with the participant and the family, with care partners' lives. But yes, we do have participants coming in the center now.
Awesome. That's so great. Were you having a liaison manage the Zoom? I'm just thinking from my personal perspective, Zoom would not be something that my dad would be able to manage on his own.
So at the beginning of the pandemic, I actually created step-by-step for participants with the help of other staff on kind of a booklet on how they could go with like highlights. And so, but we were very, we were able to send one of our staff members if it was really hard to go help them get on Zoom, but we got a grant at the beginning so that we can get Amazon Fires for participants. So they really didn't have to do much but to put the code in, and then we kept the code the same. Again, it was trial and error, and it took a few months to get people kind of on the kind of the roller coaster we were on, but we were able to help participants get on and family members too. So it was trial and error, but that was something that we had to work through with everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all you do. And I'm going to check in with Piners and see if my dad can come back to the day program because he really enjoyed that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would like to jump on that bandwagon and praise Calabria. My father also went there a long time ago, probably 20 years ago, and I worked at Mine Boosters when it first started. So Calabria is very dear to my heart. So it's very exciting that you're coming to offer services here. And I'd like to offer, I'm a co-president of the local Seroptimist, and one of our focuses is to decrease isolation among seniors in our community. So we would love to work with you in some fashion.
That'd be great. And we'll be able to kind of have clinicians be able to be a part of that, like creation of a team that would support that mission that you guys are having. And so it's very exciting that we could potentially work together on that.
Great. I'll get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for great seeing you without a mask.
I know.
Yeah, I had the honor of meeting Melissa and Reina. Great program, and I've been sharing around town and at the district your work. So I have a few comments. I think the need to do outreach to the Latino community at the Senior Center is a must. There is no Latino presence at the Senior Center right now, and having 28% of the population in American Canyon being Latino, we no longer can ignore that fact. Calabria is a great way to start bringing more Latino folks into the Senior Center, and so I cannot wait for you to start full force with that. I got your email today, and I will be sharing the flyer for the 23rd, for the June 23rd workshop. Also, next school year, when the district liaisons come back to work, we're off for the summer. We're gonna start doing some training with Calabria. I already talked to the district liaison coordinator, and she was really excited about it. So, you know, in town, our Lolas and Lolos, our abuelos, and our grandparents are a huge part in our community. You know, we have a lot of them live with us in our homes. And so this training is just like a cherry on a sundae. It's really gonna help out, you know, our young population to see and understand all those stages of dementia. So I thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing, the beautiful work that you're doing, you and your staff.
Thank you. We've recently been able to do in-person resource fairs. So that's something, resource fairs from what we do in the day program to our hospice and palliative. And that's been really helpful with getting people back kind of connected with us. So I open that up to offer if anyone would like to have an organization or business, have a kind of a fair that we can come to. We're happy to have our services come down, and that kind of can connect people and also see what we've been doing in the past year.
Are there other commissioner comments? Hey, well, I have a few. So first of all, yeah, Melissa, thank you so much. I very similar to Commissioner Cervantes' comments. You know, there, in addition to there being a very sizable Latinx community here, there's a sizable Filipinx community, and you know, Filipinos are you know, elderly Filipinos not only members. There's also plenty Filipino Americans who are caregivers. So I'm curious about what your inroads and connections are to the Filipino community who definitely need your services.
So I'm sure you guys know who Vincent is. He is actually on our dementia capable Napa County advisory team. And so we've been slowly trying to kind of brainstorm around that. We do not at this time have a staff member that can speak. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the Tagalog. Thank you. Speak Tagalog. But we did look, we were connected with someone in Hawaii who translated material and who was working on a project from ACL to do that. And so the great part about ACL is that it's federally funded. So the materials that other people do, we can take and use. So if they have translated materials, we could use that. To be honest, there's no solid plan because, again, we don't have the staffing to be able to support trainings, but we would really love to do that. And that's something that when you continue on to this project, you can reapply and to be able to get more funding. So that's something that's an objective that can be tackled. But if there's someone who we could have a volunteer who is willing to present and kind of co-work with us on doing that, we're more than happy to work with someone because we do know that in the American Canyon, that population does need to be touched. And that's what the purpose of this grant and these grants are that are given to touch populations that don't get as much attention. And so, again, I know that's kind of a fluffy answer, but that's something that we can work towards if there is a partnership that would be willing to work with us.
Well, Melissa, in that case, and in the interest of partnership, I have your email address. I'll reach out to you with the contacts I have in the Filipino community with the church and various Filipino groups. I mean, you know one Filipino, you kind of know them all.
Yeah.
At the very least, spread the word of your services to the community. And if ever you need anything like translation services, I can help you figure that out too. We recently helped translate a survey into Tagalog for the open space district. So,
there's
just
options.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, and that's why coming to this meeting, I really appreciate you guys giving me the space and time because there are gaps in the services that we're providing and we'd like to fill those gaps. And again, a village isn't created by one person, it's by many that can contribute time and resources that they have, even if it's just translating something.
Exactly. Second question, what are your plans for future trainings here in American Canyon?
So once we are able to get a, that's an open question because we can do any trainings. It can be any Napa County Navigator trainings, which again, that's a broad thing. We really just touch upon the signs and symptoms. When things open up, we can come and do in-person trainings about, we did a training about kind of medical needs and dementia. So kind of how people can talk to how caregivers and care partners can talk to medical professionals. So really, if there is a survey that we put out to say what topics people would like to hear about related to dementia and Alzheimer's, we can customize that. We had a Parkinson's series that we did, and so we could bring that to American Canyon. So anything we have done virtually or anything that we've done in the past, it can go, we serve Napa County. So American Canyon is part of that. So it's whomever would like to host, we can come and do that.
Well, thank you, Melissa. We definitely look forward to more partnerships. You're already actively working with, some of us here and staff. So that's a great beginning, and looking forward to just seeing that work benefit our community members in need.
Chair, I also wanted to add another training that we're working on is trying to get a training for our American Canyon city staff, so we're working on that as kind of the next training on our end. And then I think that's something that we could definitely open up to commissioners if they
Great.
want to participate in that as well.
Yeah. Anticipated the next question. Very
Yeah.
nice. So, yeah. Hey, you know, I mean, it's this topic touches so many of us. So you know, so wonderful, wonderful. So if there are no further questions, we'll can let Ms. Gerard go enjoy the rest of her evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I will put again those 2 links to the next 2 trainings that we have actively in the chat. But again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with everyone that reaches out to me.
You'll be hearing from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so we're moving on to business item B1, receive and file a updated report on the volunteer program, the conservation program specifically, and discuss PCS's, the PCS Commission's role in supporting it. Take it away, Creighton.
Thank you, Chair. Let me share staff report just real quickly. So you can see my staff report, right?
Yep.
So I'll start off with a brief overview. So going back a couple of months, as you're all aware, we had a key staff member who's done a wonderful job putting together 2 main volunteer programs for us. Trails Crew really focused on the null open space and the wetlands, and a broader program called the Conservation Program. When she moved along, we're now challenged with the opportunity to keep these programs going without the staff support. I presented to PCS in May, identifying the challenge and asked for thoughts, ideas, and support from the group. You had a couple of main questions. So I'm coming back to you here tonight with answers to those questions, and that had mostly to do with coming up with or developing an annual list of projects and a calendar, some list of coordination tasks, and looking to see what support can be provided by staff. So I will be going through each of those here in a moment. One thing that the group might consider is either formally or informally creating a subcommittee to walk through this process in the next year. With me, I'm likely going to be teaming up. I do have 2 members who have committed from the Open Space Advisory Committee to help lead the Trails Crew side of it. So we'll likely put the 2 groups together if there is that interest here with PCS. So now I will switch over. If I can find my stop sharing button. Give me a second here. Well, this is interesting. Any of you Zoom gurus can help me out here with how do I find my stop sharing button? Oh.
Yeah, Creighton, I just took it from you and I'll give it right back. And then you can.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to change my title to Zoom Guru.
Yeah, that's it.
Add that to the resume.
So now you should be able to see the attachment to the staff report, which identifies our past projects and some potential projects. Can you see this document here? Identified as attachment 1, conservation program planning schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, here's a list of projects that we've done in the past that would be kind of in the realm of conservation program projects, including some sheet mulching projects, weeding, tree and shrub plantings at either the Newell open space or the wetlands. We just recently did one this spring out at the wetlands that would fit perfectly in there. In years past, we've done a barn owl box raising. We did some native planting, some wildflower plantings, a little bit of weeding around the wetlands trailhead. There's opportunities to do really a lot more. As our parks are strapped for labor and time, so we could really grow this program quite significantly if we had the funding to support it. So for this year, based on funding, we have money available to us to facilitate 4 projects. The general timeline right now is September, December, February, and April. That's really subject to change, although the beginning and the end, September and April, are fairly set and solid. We do annually do both a coastal cleanup as well as an Earth Day project every single year. So those two, I wouldn't expect to change, but the middle 2, December and February, certainly are subject to change. It just happens to be the months where the trail crew doesn't have a project, so it kind of fit in there. There has been a wonderful development here in the last month or so. I did sit down and talk with the ACCPF. As I had funding for materials and supplies, but I didn't have funding for staff. I can shift my money over to be able to cover the staff support that's necessary, and the foundation has committed to funding materials and supply costs up to $4,500, which is what we had originally budgeted for the 2 programs. So this will end up being a sponsorship/partnership program with the foundation for us to continue. The support that we need for staffing is going to be coming from Alana's team, Stacey Johnson specifically, and then we'll likely also have some recreation leaders that will help out with most likely day of and kind of prepping up to the day of activities. At our last meeting, Commissioners Griggs, Margolotti, Mammarell, and Einberger each identified some interest in various different aspects of helping out. So based on tonight's presentation, I'd like to clarify and see the level of interest precisely and where we might be able to fit you in. Ms. Zudi, before she left us a wonderful list of tasks. Really, it was a checklist is really what it ended up being. That ended up being 5 or 6 pages. So I tried to boil that down as simply as possible into a document that can be as easily viewed and understood. So that's where this table is coming from, in which we have 3 main aspects of each volunteer project. Kind of the big picture overarching planning for the year is in the first column. The next is project planning as we get closer to an actual project date, getting a little bit more serious about clarifying the scope, details, who's going to do what, and so on. That generally happens about 30 days out from when a project occurs. And then about a week prior or within the week of the project is when project implementation really starts going. So all of the planning that we've done in the previous 2 phases really starts, rubber meets the road, and we have to go out and get materials and supplies, track down the equipment and so on to do those projects, as well as any of the training or determining the scope items that are necessary for the project. You notice in this table that it's set up with the task, the responsible party, and then an opportunity to write in a commissioner or a city staff member specifically. So the way that I would like to see this work is that we would kick off the year with an annual planning meeting where we talk very broadly about the projects and how often a project might happen, the dates and times, and generally what kind of focus we want to have on. Generally looking at doing that in August seems to be a good time for us. It lines up really well for the September coastal cleanup project, as well as for the first Trails Crew project, which is identified for October. So that would be the first major task. It would be really all of the partners would play in on that conversation, the city, the committee commissioners that are interested, as well as our partner in this case, it would be the foundation would come to the table and we all talk through what the next year would look like. As we go into the planning 30 days out, again, the meeting to talk about those details would be the whole team. And then the city will transition into volunteer coordination and recruitment. That was on both committee, some hesitancy and concern about getting into the service platform. I mean, understandably, getting into the service platform and entering in the project and then recruiting for the volunteers and making sure that they're going through all of our risk management processes. So that would be Stacy or one of our rec leaders would do that task. As we go into the week of tasks, purchasing is really just makes the most sense for the city to do it, as we have, it's just easier that way logistically. Gathering, there's a whole bunch of different tasks here. Some of them are city, some of them could be a partner depending on the time and the interest of the individual volunteers. So those are items that are really up for grabs. And then the day of, I would expect that all groups would participate in that. And I know that we had a couple commissioners specifically that were interested in helping out on the day of, so that would fit in very well. So I present to you here tonight an overview at a somewhat high level, knowing that there's an awful lot of detail back behind it once we get rolling through this that Shilan has left us, that really will guide us through this next year in a very good and safe place. As the year progresses, the partnership with the foundation, maybe that might change and either they'll be more involved or less involved, and we'll just have to work that out through the next year. So I think I will pause there and see if there's any questions or comments at this point from the commission.
I
Yeah. Go ahead, Commissioner Wood. Go for
I
it.
had a question. How are the numbers for like volunteers looking like? Like, is there a need for them or is there enough? I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, when we put out one of these projects, our volunteer support is really, really good. We don't really have a hard time recruiting volunteers. So that really isn't a challenge for us. It's actually pretty easy once we get the word out. Stacy, and then prior to Stacy, Shilan had cultivated a pretty good relationship at the high school with the counseling department. So when we had initially a need for volunteers, we reached out to them, and then they got the word out to the students who needed volunteer hours, and it filled up very, very quickly.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I know that a lot of people want volunteer hours at school because it's required. So, but it's good to hear that we have a very close community.
Yes.
And I think I said, back at the last meeting that I'd be willing to give support on the day of, and that's still the case. I'd be interested in doing that.
Very, very good. Thank you.
And just like Vice Chair Einberger, day of getting hands dirty, I'm still committed to.
And I'm happy to assist with planning support.
I would be also. I just would need to coordinate how to do that. So
Yeah, as I recall from the May, both Commissioners Griggs and Margolati, there was some hesitancy to fully committing for the full year, and I understand that. So I think it'll be likely, it would be great to have the both of you sit in on the planning meeting to begin with, and then we can kind of figure out based on your own individual schedules each project and where you might fit in as far as helping with the planning on those individual ones.
I do really appreciate this spreadsheet because it did sound quite intimidating and quite a lot at the last meeting. But it looks like it is, it's getting broken up and broken down to very specific things and items and a good timeline. So it seems a lot more workable, doable, manageable. So I appreciate the work that went into creating this and sort of, subsectioning everything out. It makes it seem very, very manageable. So I'm not quite as hesitant as I was last time.
Yeah, I had kind of sensed that based on the commission's comments last time. It was a very detailed and somewhat daunting list, but if you zoom out a little bit, and Shimon did a wonderful job, so that if there's ever a question about what we do at what point in the stage, we can certainly consult her notes because it's all there. But there's maybe a little bit too much information for all of us to really absorb at that one time. So I completely understand.
So yes, thank you for that. And it looks good. I mean, I feel like it's totally doable between open space and PCS in the city. I think, many hands make for light work, and that's what this looks like right now. So I like it.
Fantastic.
Director Wright, is our action item tonight the formation of a subcommittee?
Chair, if you wouldn't mind, I think I'd like to maybe keep it an informal group that's just helping me out with planning at this point, given the understanding that as we get through the planning meeting, that it might not be an entire year's ongoing responsibility for our two members. What I'm taking away from tonight's meeting is that I'll be leaning on Commissioners Griggs and Margolotti for that planning effort, and we'll kind of talk through roles and responsibilities for each individual project.
Okay, that sounds good.
And Chair, I think we have Commissioner Cerventa that has a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. Could you please send a reminder to all commissioners when you need volunteers? I'm very hesitant because I'm on a lot of organizations and at work it gets super busy, but sometimes when I get a reminder and it's a few days till the event, sometimes I'm able to get in there and help out. So if you send those reminders, that will be appreciated, and maybe we can help.
Yep, I certainly will do that. No problem.
Just a point of clarification. Service is the volunteer organization program that we use, and I recall that when volunteering for different events, I log on to Service and do that. If we want to volunteer kind of at the last minute, do you know if Service accommodates that, or do we need more lead time because of Service in order to log on in our volunteer work?
Chair Member, are you speaking about yourselves personally or as a resident?
As a resident, yeah.
Okay, so as a resident, yes, you do have to register in advance. There are only a certain amount of spots for each project, and they do fill quickly because there's a lot of interest. For commissioners and committee members, however, I have encouraged you, without having to go through Service, mostly because as a commissioner, you're covered on our liability insurance otherwise, to drop in at really minutes notice. If you happen to be available and you know a project is happening and you want to be out there and participate and help out, please feel free to do so. We don't necessarily have to go through the same process with each of the commissioners as we would for our residents. So there is a little bit of difference there.
Thank you for that clarification, and that certainly helps encourage us as commissioners to help and participate. Thank you.
So the one, maybe I shouldn't say this. This is going to create more work for me at some point. But our goal for this year was really to expand both of these programs much larger than what we're doing this year. And for two main reasons, we're not able to. And one is Siobhan and not having a dedicated staff member to do it. And the second one is budget. We had requested more money in the budget to be able to offer more programs and material and supply budget for them. And we didn't get all of it this year. So there is opportunity, I think, to grow and expand these programs. Our council has heard repeatedly from our residents the interest and desire to volunteer more in the community. So this is something that I think will be a probably just scratching the surface of the interest in the community that will likely grow significantly in the coming years.
That makes me think that this issue is going to might go to council at some future point, and when we're asking for funds to support this program.
Chair, it may very well. The offering of 8 projects here, I don't think will serve the need in the community, and therefore there will likely be calls for expanding, growing, offering more. So with that in mind, council at some point will have to get involved to make some decisions about budgeting priorities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very good. But until that point, I think we are,
I think,
fulfilling our mandate. Yeah.
We need to prove this model out and make sure that it works and it's effective. And once we do, then we can start talking about growing potentially.
Got it. Very good. Something that. Okay. Yes. Very good. Thank you.
So Chair, I think I have guidance at this point from the commission. My next steps are, again, as I mentioned a second ago, reaching out to Commissioners Margolotti and Griggs and having them, participate in an annual planning meeting, likely in the middle-ish part of August. So you'll be hearing from me to get some dates and times from you to schedule a meeting.
Great. Very, very good. Well, thank you, Commissioner Wright.
Just a final comment regarding the date. Middle of August, school starts August 18th. If we could not have it on that day and consider our teacher who probably has to report to school a little bit before that August 18th date as well.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the second full week in August, which would be the week before that.
I would maybe recommend to do it after the 18th, just because a lot of teachers and other classified employees like myself like to do some last minute traveling before school starts. So just be realistic.
We'll see how the scheduling goes. As we get later in August, we start pushing up against our first project in September. So we can't get too late in August without causing some issues in September. So we'll start working on a schedule, and if we can make it later in August, we can certainly do that.
Okay, very good. Unless there are further questions, ready to move on to department report correction. To business item B2, receiving a summary report on the recent Parks and Recreation survey.
Sure, I'll do a brief overview and then turn it over to Alana, who's been really guiding this project through. We had a goal this year to put out a survey to our residents as we were coming out of the pandemic to test their interest and willingness in getting back into programming. And so we put together a survey with, I think it was 9 questions, put it out at the beginning of April and left it open really all the way through the middle part of May. But I think our last response was the last week in April. We had a really great turnout. Nearly 600 surveys were completed. Lots of great feedback and some interesting, but maybe not so unexpected results. So I'm going to have Alana go through, and we will be talking about some of the statistics as well as our takeaways based on those statistics. And I imagine that Commission will likely have some thoughts and feedback on that as well, and we're interested to hear what some of these statistics maybe mean to you. So without any further ado, Alana, you want to go through the survey?
Yep. I'm actually going to share my screen. Okay. So going through the survey, like Creighton said, we had that go out in April. We had 598 survey results come back. The first question that we had asked was, during the pandemic, please describe your use of parks, open space, walking, biking trails, and other community spaces. 52% or 52.69% said that their usage increased at open space and trails during the pandemic, which you can see here, both the increased and slightly increased. And then pretty much what that told us was we need to maintain access to parks, open spaces, and trails. Then moving on to question 2, during the pandemic, did you participate in any of the following? So this question was really just, we were curious as to the programming that we did over the pandemic, if it worked, if it didn't work. So what we got from it was the drive-throughs were a huge success. We had 31.94%, which is 191 people responded saying they participated in our drive-through events. And then we had Heart Your Parks, and then the Park and Plays from ACCPF, where people said that they participated in those. So Heart Your Parks had 22.74% people, which was 136 people. And then Park and Plays was 106 people at 17.56%. So what that told us was drive-throughs and kind of open access events, so that Heart Your Park and the Park and Plays were the best attendance that we had through the pandemic, and our virtual programs or our virtual events were just not as popular, which I think we kind of all know why. Everyone's tired of being on their computer with school and work and whatnot. So it's cool to get that feedback back from the community, justifying what we kind of thought. So then question 3 was, how do you receive your information? 58% said that they received their information from the city manager's report. That was the highest ranked percentage for how people receive their information. So it's 351 people. Right underneath that is our Parks and Rec newsletter at 52%. And then less than 30% said they receive their information from our social media accounts. So one thing, what we got from that was, we definitely need to maintain our presence in both the city manager's report, but also maintain our monthly newsletter, as we don't have an activities guide, making sure we keep that up. And then we need to improve our social media presence. Question 4 was really the big question and the whole reason why we created the survey, which is, are you ready to come back? And majority of the people that completed the survey said they are. So we had 74% said that they were ready in some way to come back for activities, whether it was small outdoor groups or just big outdoor groups, or indoor as well. So that told us that we need to open up programming more. People are ready to come back. Question 5. These are programs that we wanted to see what they were interested in for this next year. And swim lessons was the top rated one. Let's see. 2% is not happening on that. So swim lessons was 37% of people said that they wanted swim lessons, which is highest rated, and then we had adult fitness, youth enrichment. So that pretty much let us know that residents are ready for the programming that we kind of normally have or had before the pandemic. So kind of going back to normal, residents were ready for that. And then question 6, out of our events, what were people ready for? What were they wanting to have back? Kind of the same as programming, people desired our big signature events, which is our holiday theme. That's the 63% that we see there. And then we have our family fun, which is our May the 4th be with you, things like that. And then there was a new need that kind of arose, which is the cultural oriented events, which is we had the We Heart Everyone diversity event. So looking forward to going into cultural, as that is a new need. So continuing on, for our signature events, there's a desire there, and our residents are ready for our classic events to return, as well as the addition of the cultural. Question 7 was, out of the activities that we held pretty much during the pandemic, what were they interested in having come back for when we come out of pandemic, so in 2021. And we had the continuation of the Fun Fit Trail, the Pumpkin Path, snowman sightings, and then a huge interest for the Park and Plays that ECCPF puts together in partnership with us. And let's see. The last one was for our seniors, and we had asked them if they were ready to come back. And what we got from them is 50% said no, they're not ready, or they're sorry, not ready, but they are not seniors. So we kind of have to disregard that. Our seniors that are ready to come back, it was outdoor. So that told us that we need to start our programming outdoors and kind of slowly ease into our indoor programming, as at the time of the survey, which was in April, they weren't quite ready to come back to our facility. Indoors for indoor programming. And then question 9 was just our zip code, so I will skip over that. And let's see. So I will stop there and go to questions. What you guys had attached is also the other and the write-ins. So we asked people for each question if there was anything that we missed. So you guys have that in the attachment to the packet. But I will stop there and see if there's any questions specifically for any of the survey results.
Okay. All right, floor is open for questions.
Well, a couple of things that, I mean, not really any questions, but I know with the water aerobics, I've just heard so many people saying they can't get in because it fills up and there aren't enough classes. And then I saw here one of the comments was to maybe open it up at night, the nighttime session. So I think that would be great. And another thing I saw under events kind of points to the whole cultural thing with someone said a nationality fair. And I thought that was really good. I would like to see some more cultural things.
And on, so relative to the water aerobics question, we have historically offered a class in the evenings for water aerobics. So that's something that we're looking at based on the participation this summer if we bring that class back. Of the 3, early in the pandemic, of the 3 options, when we questioned the folks in the class, they really preferred the late morning class over the evening classes. So it's definitely something to start thinking about for the summer. And Jody and I have started talking about it. As far as the nationality fair, I think that's something that is a current interest of councils that likely will be a goal or a push this upcoming year, that we'll start working on a plan to start delivering some sort of an event around cultures, nationalities, something along those lines. We might even have a topic to talk about it in our August meeting, perhaps.
Great. Yeah, and as far as the water aerobics at night, I think as we really try to offer some things that are great for the younger senior, that nighttime water aerobics may be a good idea, because so many younger seniors work and they can't come during the day.
I would like to make a comment. Thank you, Alana, for all of those results. I found it very interesting, especially the first section where people answered basically the same. We have the same percentage for a significantly increase or a significantly decrease. So I'm just wondering if that is perhaps, as far as using outdoor spaces, I'm wondering if that is reflective of people who just decided to fully quarantine and those who decided they needed to get out, or what the, what the reasoning was behind the decrease. Because I certainly increased my activity, and every time I went out, it looked like everyone in the entire city was also increasing their activity. So I found that percentage interesting. I don't know how to do a deeper dive on that, but I just wanted to comment on that. And then also, I was seeing the, now I can't see it anymore, but that's okay. That people are very interested in activities with the most interest. I see youth enrichment there in the third spot. And going back to my opening comments about Boys and Girls Club and the camps that they're having, I know that the city decided that we weren't going to have our summer camps this year because the school district was offering summer camps. But the school district is actually not offering summer camps. The school district is partnering with Boys and Girls Club to offer the summer camps. So the school district is offering summer programming for K through 5 through a company called Edmo. And then they are offering a coding class for middle schoolers, and they're offering credit recovery and some band camps and some STEM enrichment for the secondary high school level. But with Boys and Girls Club looking like they're not going to be able to increase capacity because they're dealing with an unvaccinated population with 50 families on the waiting list, and kids needing to get outside, and after June 15th, hopefully being able to a little bit more. I'm wondering if that's something that the city needs to reconsider, that might be a need of our youth and our community members to have maybe a couple 2-week camps in July and August. I know we're already in June, so the timing just might not be possible. Maybe it's just a conversation with Jaime at Boys and Girls Club to see if there's a need, if they're going to be able to increase the capacity, or where we're at, so we can be sure that we're serving everyone and people don't spend, kids don't spend the entire summer on the waiting list because there's not enough available activities with working parents. So those are my comments. Thank you.
So, Chair, I'll just quickly address, as far as this upcoming summer, it is not possible for us to be able to ramp up and offer anything ourselves Now, if there was a contractor who had a ready-made program ready to go, we could certainly turn that around and likely offer it. But really, I imagine if there was a contractor ready to go and they had interest and they felt there was a market, they would already be offering that program. So if there is an opportunity, we can certainly look into it. Perhaps Jaime Boys and Girls Club maybe has an idea that we can talk about. The one I'll just throw out there, the significant challenge I find, and I was just talking about this, I don't remember who I was talking about it with. It was Liz, actually, earlier this week. We struggle here when we offer market rate programs because our residents just aren't used to paying what the market is. It appears as if GBRD generally subsidizes their programs quite a bit, and a lot of what's being offered now is subsidized, whether that's through donations or just organizations eating that cost. We offer quite a few sports-oriented market rate programs that routinely will not go. The only thing I can come up with is that the price is too high. So that is a big challenge. When we offer a similar program, when the city offers it and we subsidize it, we generally will fill that class and it'll run. So that's the other potential challenge. We can look at market rate programs and see if we can get them to run. We have offered enrichment type programs in summers past that have not run. So I guess maybe we can reach out to Edno and see if they have the opportunity to expand or scale up what they're offering at Canyon Oaks and see if that might be an opportunity.
Yeah, that would be great. I know that there is a long waiting list actually, and the Edmo program filled up very quickly. So I know that there are still interested families.
Just to add to that, I know that what is being offered at Boys and Girls Club, it's no cost because the district is partnering with them and paying for that. So I know that that's probably why there's a huge interest. And the Edmo program, the morning portion is like an intervention type of program. And then they're offering it. So the students who might have an extra need to build their skills or fill in any gaps from learning this year. And it's only a small age group it's being offered to. So I would definitely reach out to them. I think to see if that's something that they might be able to do, because there might be a need.
So can I go now?
Absolutely, Commissioner Smith.
So it was really interesting to see the answers on the survey, and very happy that many citizens responded to it. So that's really good. I talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of parents, and their number one question is, when do we get the after school sports back? And so, and as a parent, are we gonna get them back?
Yeah, Vincent's working on it right now for our schedule for next fall. So it is definitely coming back for the fall.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm just saying, get ready, because I think that there's extra motivation to get more kids in there, because we've been cooped in and looking at Zoom. So I think the motivation of parents and students to actually do outdoor activity in a sports setting, it's really nice. I know Little League had they expected to have maybe 100 kids, and it turned out to be like 300 and something kids. So that'll tell you how much parents are willing and really ready to take their kids into sports. So, and then I also wanted to, what Commissioner Einberger said, some afternoon water aerobics. A lot of us work full time and don't get off until, later. And, I see the water aerobic classes in the middle of the day, but, I'm either going to the district or going to another school or doing whatever I need to do for my job. And I just go by and go, man, that looks so cool. And the music looks so fun, and all the exercises. And so an evening class will be really welcoming, and maybe I'll get on it as well. But, in the middle of the day, it's just, you just catering for the retiree folk or the people that, stay at home moms or whatever. So if you could, if we could advocate to have some for the working demographic, that would be great.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Cervente. I'm ready to mention or talk about my comments, unless there's somebody else that wants to go before me. Oh, great. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for this great survey. Really, really great information. My takeaways are, I think participation was pretty good, considering that these were first-time experimental programs. The survey is very timely in that it's going to help us determine which ones are going to survive in the post-COVID world and which ones aren't. For example, Commissioner Einberger and I, well, we've kind of started an earlier conversation about a conversation earlier about whether the Zoom music stuff is going to go on. There may not be a need for it, but Park and Play, the Pumpkin Path, those events, wow. That ACAF is going to be very happy to hear that they were pretty quite popular. So, and just overall, the feeling I get from seeing these results is people are ready to go out and get back to normal. The 4th of July is coming up, and that is going to be our early indication of interest. And I bet we're going to have a lot of things we're going to have a lot of feedback come in during our August meeting. So, well, that's it. Thank you. Okay, well, seeing no further questions, we can move on to department report. Well, item number C1, receive a status update on recent PCS subcommittees and other related committees.
And Chair, I'll whip through this one pretty quickly. The food support group is maintaining pretty steady, not a lot of change from the last several months, as a matter of fact. We are working with the groups to become a bit more independent. We're going to be backing out some of the city's support and having the organizations really rely on their volunteers to continue beginning in July. So they've already, in a lot of cases, already started measures to start taking that over. So that's good to hear and good to see. Community Events Committee met in April. We had only one participant, so we were looking at changing the date and the time so that we can find something that's a bit more accessible. We found that it conflicted with something else that's very popular in town. We did include our most updated event schedule as an attachment to this report. Senior Planning Committee happened third week in May, and we talked about creating a survey to send out to the seniors to try and focus our new upcoming programming specifically to them in a postcard kind of format to figure out how to direct mail the postcard and then reference them back on a survey. We're going to be moving forward with a name change for the senior center. There's some formal procedural stuff that we need to go forward with. The group has settled on that, and we're moving forward. And the group will be moving its meeting schedule onto an as-needed basis. Likely quarterly is most likely when we're going to begin meeting again. Moving on to fee philosophy, we are nearing the end of our project. The last week we had our last, maybe it's 2 weeks ago, our last meeting to finalize all of our data going into the system. We are scheduling what the consultant calls a reveal meeting, where they basically share with us all of our results. That's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So we'll have a better idea of just where we're at, and then we start talking about setting some revenue cost recovery target goals and developing an implementation plan with them. We're looking at right now the August 12th PCS meeting to have the consultant come in and give a presentation to the whole PCS group on that reveal and what they found, and identify the goals we're working towards. We'll turn around and give a very similar presentation to council on August 17th. And then in that time, we'll be drafting a policy document that will go to council the following month in September. General Plan Parks and Rec Working Group, we have 2 members from PCS that sit on that, Commissioners Margalotti and Cervente. We had a meeting earlier this week. We actually want to show our commissioners, we created a website just for this project. Let me find it here and I'll share it. So on our city's webpage, so I'll take you through the process here. If you come onto our main page and you go into, actually, I think you're going to have to search general plan. So if you search general plan, it doesn't actually come up as a top item. But if you put in AMCAN 2040, that'll get you close. Just kidding. Oh, there it is. I saw it down there. That's what I'm looking for. So you'll eventually get to this page. It's called the General Plan Update page. We have our 3 citizen subcommittees that are identified here on the main page: the Parks and Rec element, education, lifelong learning, and circulation. If you go into the Parks and Rec element, it brings you to this page where we have put a whole ton of resources about our future planning on the bottom. But for each of our meetings, we will start uploading the information and the results from that meeting after the fact. We are just barely finishing up information just before meetings, so I can't get it there beforehand. I just barely get it out to the group. So after the fact, I'll put it up here. But from our May 12th meeting, so you have a nice summary. It talks about what the agenda items are and each of the individual topics that were discussed and the summary on each of those items. So that's your kind of high-level item or a high-level document. For the meeting in May, we did a little bit of visioning, talking about what items we felt like best represented the direction that we were going as a community for the and those kind of key priority words were community, connectivity, connected, fun, open space, access, accessibility, green space, wildlife, trails, wetlands, inclusive, pool, and park. So those are the words that were mentioned most when we did a little exercise by the group. So it all really kind of fits, not surprisingly, based on the direction, kind of the city's higher level vision for our community and the Parks and Rec elements, generally speaking. Let's pull that back up. And then we also did a word cloud, took all those words and threw them into a word cloud and see what were mentioned the most often. And you can see the words that were biggest were mentioned the most: connectivity, connected, community, open space, access, accessibility, wetlands, fun, etc. That was a kind of a cool visual representation of all of those words. And then I did a presentation on the project and the direction that we were heading. And we settled on issues and concerns that we'll be working on and diving deeper into. Oh, that's not loading. That's interesting. Oh, that won't work. So for our meeting that we just had on Wednesday, we focused, I actually had a very aggressive agenda that we didn't get anywhere near through. The main item on the agenda was to talk about Clark Ranch reevaluation, which I have an item later in the director's update. At the May 18th City Council meeting, Council heard the discussion on short versus long-term use at Clark Ranch, and they provided some specific direction, which was extend the leases of 2 existing leaseholders, focus improvements on those that fit within the master plan, and wait for any expansion for the Clark Ranch reevaluation to occur, and then task the Parks and Rec working group with reevaluating the Clark Ranch master plan, looking at creating an implementation plan, which will be an end result from this, and take a broader lens, a wider lens at Clark Ranch, and zoom out a little bit and look at some of the other opportunities that might exist around Clark Ranch for some of those amenities. Specifically, what was identified was the landfill and the courtyard as potential reuse opportunities. So that was the task that was before the working group on Wednesday. We started off by going through each kind of the goals and objectives for the Clark Ranch as it was identified in the master plan, getting a firm understanding of those, and then went through each individual amenity and asked the question of whether or not it still fits within the goals and the objectives identified initially for the master plan, whether it fits on that site as a location, that it makes sense to keep it there. And then the last question that was asked was whether or not it should be reoriented in some way, whether that was get bigger, get smaller, move around on site based on the master plan picture. So we got through about 2/3 of the amenities in our meeting on Wednesday and ended up running out of time. So we'll end up finishing that off at our August meeting and then circle back to the rest of the agenda items. So that is an update on the Parks and Rec element working group. So the other items that we had on the agenda that we didn't get to was to review the current Parks and Rec element goals, objectives, and policies, as well as the same for the PCS master plan, which is a daunting task that took some time. So thank you to Kathy for going through that and providing some comments, and I'm sure Karina will have some time to get into that and provide some comments at some point as well. I have an idea for a community outreach opportunity that I'll need to run through the group via email and then kind of set up for our next meeting in August. So the last item we have on here for an update is education and lifelong learning. Meeting occurred last week as well on Tuesday. And on the agenda to discuss and talk through was equity and inclusiveness in the community and how to capture that in an education and lifelong learning element of the general plan. And it was a relatively small group, but the biggest takeaway is acknowledge and understand equity challenges that we have in the community. And one of the best things that we can do is figure out how to reach out and connect with as many groups and organizations as possible to get feedback and encourage and solicit thoughts and ideas and comments from them. There was a lot more we talked about, but that's one of the big ones, the big takeaways. And so that's it, Chair. We have quite a few attachments there. The monthly distribution flyer, the CEC calendar is attached. Actually, I will show the continuum. So if you remember from our last meeting in May, we went through and talked about the level, the Commission provided their thoughts on the level of community good versus individualized good that each of these different categories of service provided. And you can see based on this map, this is how we laid out. It took all of the findings from the Commission and all the findings from staff and we blended them together. And so this is how we came out. So at the low end, the greatest common good was open access, parks, trails, and open space. Then you kind of move up as you start going less community good and more individual good as you go up the arrow here. So community events next, human services, beginner introductory level. These two items tied. So I'm in the process of working with the consultant right now to figure out how we break the tie. Education enrichment, special events, and so on. Up the chain all the way to the top. So this is the direction we're heading. What we'll have next is they'll actually tell us, what does it cost for us to provide each of these services, and then we'll set a cost recovery target with the idea that, as you go up the line, the cost recovery target is likely going to be higher than those at the bottom of the list. So I think I'll pause there and see if there's any questions from the Commission.
I have just a comment. I did attend the CEC meeting in May with Stacy. Most of the participants were unable to attend because of conflicting events. So mostly we just chatted about a potential schedule change because of conflicts. So we are going to meet now on the first Wednesday of the month in that same time slot from 6 to 7 p.m. starting in July.
Actually, Commissioner Griggs, that date may be tentative as that is the meet in the street for the chamber. So there's an email going back and forth right now, actually.
Okay, well, I will just hold for further email instructions then.
We will be meeting in July, but yeah, the date we're working on trying to figure out what that looks like right now.
We've got a lot going on in our community, and now as we go into post-pandemic mode, there's going to be even more activities, which is great, but therefore even more conflicts, right? So thank you, and I'm happy to be a part of that committee so I can know what's kind of going on and what's out there, and then hopefully we can have fewer conflicts. So that's my only comments. That was a lot of information, Director Wright. Thank you.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Griggs. Any further comments? Any other comments? Okay. Well, seeing none, we will receive the status update and then move on to Department Report Item C2, Receiver Report on upcoming recreation offerings.
And I'll just turn this one straight on over to Alana.
Thank you. Okay, so not a whole lot of changes from the last time that we met with you guys. We are just kind of continuing as to what we're offering with rec. We have our ongoing in-person programming, tennis, our all-city dance, and then we have our line dancing. There has been a discussion between actually all three of the instructors. They have quite the interest right now. So we are looking at what numbers, if we can open capacity and try to get some more people in those classes, because they have asked us, what that looks like moving forward with June 15th, and if we can expand a bit, and there is some room to do that. So we'll be working with them to try to expand on their classes. Senior Center virtual programming, that's still ongoing. We are going to be kind of more Senior Center. We are looking to try to reopen our Senior Center in September with some kind of softer openings for programming in August. So we're working with our virtual classes, specifically our Forever Young Fitness and yoga, and Stitchers, and seeing if they wanted to potentially meet outside or use our facility as we kind of move forward. So we are working on a reopening plan for our Senior Center, which is very exciting. And then Seroptimus events, as Vice Chair Einberger had mentioned, Seroptimus is continuing with their live music events and their bingo nights. And then sports, open gym badminton came back in June. So we have that going. And then we have a variety of sports clinics. We are not currently offering the 3v3 Hoop It Up. We had a low enrollment there, and we just had to recently close that. But we do have all sorts of sports still open, a volleyball camp, and the junior all sorts of sports. Those start later. Well, all sorts of sports starts June 21st. Volleyball camp is July 5th, and then the junior all sorts of sports is June 28th. So there is still time to sign up for that, so we can have those programs go. Pickleball, I know that's been kind of a constant conversation. Right now, we are interested in having one-day clinics, potentially one in the fall and then one again in the spring, to invite kind of anyone down and educate people on the game and how to play, so they can participate on their own. We are working on insurances right now to getting that group's instructor to come down to lead that. And then the big question that I'm sure everybody wants to know is 4th of July. So 4th of July, we are moving forward with a community celebration plan, which is a 6:30 parade from the Aquatics Benton parking lot and going around Community Park 2, and then ending the parade going into the Donaldson Way parking lot. As soon as the parade is over, we're looking at having some live music. Roughly right now it's 7:20, some announcements, national anthem, and then some live music following that. And then the fireworks would go at 9:30, roughly around 9:30. And it's pretty much it. We are asking the community to bring your own everything, chairs, blankets, food. We will not have any food vendors, and we're not opening it up for any info vendors. So bring your own, just really a location for you to be at the park and enjoy some live music while the fireworks are going off. I think for the parade, we are going to be inviting various community volunteer groups. So pretty much all of the groups that have helped us or provided something to the community. So Seroptimus, the guys have constantly been providing live music and bingo and engaging the community and assisting our senior center with wellness calls and whatnot. So groups like that, ACC CERT, ACCPF, inviting these groups that have really worked through the pandemic as a celebration and a thank you to all the volunteer community groups. That's who we're trying to invite for the parade. So it will be a shorter parade. It's not your typical 4th of July crazy car show and carriage and candy throwing and all that. It's going to be more of a thank you to all of those groups. So you go from a 70-person parade to roughly 30 is what we're looking at right now. And that is it. So I can answer any questions or hear any comments that anyone has at this time.
Thank you, Rolana.
Chair, before we open it up, I have
Go for it.
an interesting anecdote about pickleball.
Mhm.
I happened to be walking by the pickleball courts today, and they were very, very well used. There were 8 people there playing. I went over and I talked to them for a bit, and they were ecstatic to have the opportunity. They really felt like it was a hidden gem because pickleball courts all over the North Bay it's become such a so exciting that they can't find open courts, and it's hard for them to get on. So not one of the 8 people lived in American Canyon. They were all from outside the community, but because they heard about the courts, that's why they were there. They basically said, if we build more courts, more people will come. And I said, okay, great. So that's maybe something we can start working on. And then another one of the members piped up and said, no, don't do that, because then these courts will be full and we won't be able to play anymore. So it was just a very interesting perspective. I did ask if they had anyone that they knew of that could provide an instructional program. So they did have someone in mind. So we might have another opportunity if the one out of Napa falls through. They were very excited to be able to have the opportunity to use our courts here in American Canyon.
Director Ed, thank you for that. I guess I kind of been the de facto pickleball advocate around here, and so that's really great to hear. And it will also be great when our own residents can take advantage of our pickleball courts. So thank you very much for that news. Well, we are going to open the floor for questions. I'm sure that there are probably going to be quite a few, especially regarding the 4th of July.
Commissioner Cervantes, I see your hand. Do you want to go first?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of Veterans Park and how it's not finished. So, I think a pickleball court at Veterans Park right next to the bocce courts will be a great complement to the bocce courts. And also, we have Las Casitas there, which there's lots of seniors living there. And, so once again, let's finish Veterans Park and add maybe a pickleball court or 2 there. But yeah, I'm really excited about all the, just looking forward to opening up and doing all the fun stuff again. I'm assuming we're gonna have a athletics, yeah. So I'm gonna save that for the later. And then 4th of July sounds like a lot of fun, and thank you for putting all that effort. I know I called Ms. Ben earlier this week, and she was like really busy working on 4th of July. So thank you for that. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Cervantes.
I'll just pop in.
Awesome.
I just want to say thank you. The 4th of July event is my favorite event for AC American Canyon. I had a quick question. Are we supposed to be following like guidelines of like how many people can be on the lawn, or like the distancing? Like, is there going to be like protocols? Or I just want to ask.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we've been dealing with the last couple of months. It's a moving target, as you can imagine, with the June 15th date. But we are going to have some suggested signage out that is suggesting social distancing, our participants to wear a mask and kind of stay within their families. So we are actively kind of waiting for June 15th and what that looks like, and then adjusting from there. But there will be whatever COVID guidance comes out, we will be following that pretty much. Capacity wise, it is an open air event, meaning it's outside, and we're not going to have kind of our high touch point areas of, you know, a giant slide or things like that for kids. So it being a bring your own, and bring your own food, bring your own blankets, and having you be in your own families and groups, it is a little more safer than having it be, again, a lot of high touch points and whatnot. So yes, we will have some designated signage out asking the public to abide by that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from our commissioners? Oops. Nope. Okay. Well, here we go. I just gotta say, I'm so proud that our city could pull off a 4th of July celebration, and that is a credit to Director Wright and the rest and the staff. I've been, I think, a little more involved than most of the commissioners because I am one of the 2 bands that's playing out there. The other being the Shake It Booty Band, which is an all-women dance group. And that's going to be just a ton of fun. So I just, you know, I remain proud. I guess concerned, of course. I mean, we're going to be one of the few fireworks shows probably in the Bay Area, certainly in Napa County. So it's my understanding that we're trying to keep this on the down low as much as possible, not really sharing it a lot with social media, trying to, you know, spread the news to community members, but not too much else. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, that is correct. We are focusing this as a community celebration, and really trying to keep it truly American Canyon. There is going to be no other show in firework related, no other show in Napa County at this point. But Sonoma and Vallejo with Six Flags, they are working and looking at doing fireworks. So, and then as Vacaville as well is doing a firework and 4th of July celebration. So there's some ease there. We're not the only fireworks show going on in the Bay Area, which is good to know. But yes, our neighbors might come down. So we want to try to limit outside marketing as much as possible and just really focus on the community and getting our American Canyon residents out to enjoy our fireworks, as well as, you know, encouraging them to stay at home and they can watch from home because we are a small town and you can kind of see fireworks, I'm hoping, from everywhere. I know I can see it from my house, but.
And I know you've all been working very, very hard on mitigation there's mitigation factors that will be in place. I know that's probably a moving target too, but Alana, would you be able to just give a brief overview of some of those that will probably raise the comfort level of many of us?
Yeah, so 4th of July, as you mentioned, it's a moving target. So right now, we have some plans in place as to, like I said, signage and how we can get people to wear masks and social distance. We are waiting on this June 15th date. So right now, our staff is really just kind of planning the acts and the parade and what that looks like, and waiting for that June 15th date to kind of move from there and figure out what that looks like. So as those guidance comes out to us, we will make those adjustments for 4th of July. I think Director Wright might be able to add something to it.
I don't really have that much
Okay.
to add. I have been going back and forth with our risk management consultant, and even they acknowledged today that it is very much a moving target. So we do have a current plan in place for mitigation protocols, with the very real understanding that it might change in a week or so.
Yeah, so I think right now we do plan on having hand sanitation and hand washing stations kind of around the park, as well as next to our bathroom site. And again, not having food vendors, not having info vendors, and not having games and activities that minimizes the touch points and kind of cross contamination, and really suggesting that people stay within their families, and you're going to the park to enjoy some live music and you're sitting with your family. Really encouraging that is kind of the best that we can do right now.
Yeah, great. I also know that participants in the parade, they're being contacted. I'm curious about how many groups are participating in the parade.
So our active list right now of who we are inviting, I think we're at 27. We might be at 30, but that's who we are inviting. With such short notice and groups' comfortability with being out in a parade, I don't know how many people are interested and willing to participate in the parade, so I don't have that number as of yet. But who and the amount that we're trying to invite is, I think it's 27 or 30 is where we're at right now.
Great. Okay, thank you. And because one last thing,
Sure.
I know it's bring your own stuff like chairs. In the past, tents have not been able to be brought to the park. That might actually be a moot point because of there might not, there shouldn't be a lot of direct sun at 6:30.
Correct. Yeah. Normally, pop-ups.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Basically, if somebody tries to bring a tent, that tent will be turned away, right?
So pop-ups, we have allowed them if they're kind of on the outer edge of viewing, because you don't want a pop-up that's blocking anyone's view of the stage for live music or fireworks. But I can't imagine a whole lot of groups are going to be bringing canopies out, because we are starting the parade at 6:30, and then the live music and kind of event portion isn't going to start till 7:20. So you're really looking, the sun won't be set just yet, but it will be on its way down. And with our trees, our redwood trees that are kind of on the west side, will probably be blocking the sun there. So, yeah.
Okay. That's all I have. Are there any other questions, concerns from the commission? Okay, I guess seeing none, thank you so much for the report. And we're gonna see everybody. Well, we'll see you all at the 4th of July. So next item, department report, C3, receiver report on the aquatics program.
And Chair, I'll provide that report real briefly, as Jody isn't able to be here with us today. They're primarily working on summer programming, getting guards trained and ready to go to start our summer aquatics program, which we are bringing back our full contingent of programming. The one thing that we're still a little unsure of is private lessons, and that's really going to be dependent, again, upon the guidance from June 15th. We still don't have our lifeguards in the water based on our current guidance for our low-level programs and private lessons. So we've not been offering the private lessons. The real benefit of that is having that one-on-one attention with a guard in the water. And since we can't put guards in the water, it doesn't really make sense for us right now. So there's a whole list of things that we are hoping after June 15th, we can start putting guards in the water, increasing capacity, perhaps adding some more classes in. once we're able to have a little bit clearer and looser guidance. Also being able to expand the use of the facility. Our changing rooms have been closed off since the pandemic began, and we're hoping we can get those back open again and folks using the facility fully. So that's entirely what Jody's working on, is really prepping for summer and then adjusting and adapting to hopefully looser guidance after June 15th.
Okay. Thank you, Director Wright. Opening the floor for questions.
Yeah, mine is a comment, and it's more of a follow-up. I would like to meet with Director and also with the Supervisor Michael. And I took my nieces and nephews to their swimming lesson in San Mateo, and I was just shocked to see how many kids and how many groups of kids were in a 25-foot long pool. And I took pictures and I got some information from them, and I just would like to talk to you guys in private before bringing it to everyone, and then see how we can better our swimming lessons, because the comparing it to the size that we have in town, I was like, oh my gosh, we should be offering way more swimming lessons than what we do. But anyway, I'm excited to hear and see when the lessons come up and the private lessons. And that's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Sorrento, was that a city-run facility or was it private?
It's a private.
That's all I need to know.
Huh? What?
That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
There's a very different motivation from a private facility than a city-run facility.
Yeah, I was just amazed to see the size of it, though, in comparison. You're right, but one of the biggest complaints I hear from parents is that they can't get into the swimming lessons here in town because they sell out, and so, well, we can talk about it later.
Well, I can tell you we still have some lessons open for this summer. So if there's any folks you're hearing about that are still interested, you can hop on our website and sign up still. This is one of the few summers that I can remember where a week after registration opened, we still had spots available.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, if there are no further questions,
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Regarding guidelines changing June 15th and our lifeguards possibly being able to get in the water with the lower level classes, do you know if all of our lifeguards are vaccinated and if that will make a difference in whether they are able to get in the water or not? Do you have any guidance around that?
Our guidance from our risk manager is to assume that none of our staff are vaccinated at this point, and we're putting in place the necessary measures to protect them individually.
Okay. And then just to follow up on what Commissioner Cervante was saying, I do know in the past that our swimming lessons have filled up very quickly. And I know that it also might be a staffing issue as well, but if it weren't a staffing issue and it were just a facility issue, AHI, does partner with the district to use the high school pool. Would there ever be an opportunity for the city to partner with the district and utilize the high school pool during the morning hours when AHI is not using it during the summer months to offer more lessons in a second location?
We considered that several years ago when AHI bridged into the high school, and It was something we talked about and didn't feel like at the time that it was necessary. There was an awful lot of overhead switching over to a new facility like that. And it financially at the time, based on what we were charging, it didn't make sense. Now that in the last year we've increased our rates, it might be something that we might be able to make more financial sense.
Okay, great. It's good to have options. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, seeing no further comment, thank you, everybody. We'll move on to item C4, receiver report on Parks and Recreation Department customer service.
And Chair, I'll turn it over to Ms. Lozano, who will give the report.
Okay, thank you, Creighton. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the staff report?
Yep, I can.
So I just have three quick updates. We've been pretty busy gearing up for summer. The first one would be on our open registration day that took place on Wednesday, May 26th. It was a complete virtual registration day. We assisted customers over the telephone and also assisted them online as they registered. Programming opened for June, July, and August, so everything is open at this point. We have a mixture of programs available for residents and non-residents. Our highly desirable programs as far as our Learn to Swim and Open Swim are currently just for our residents only. It was a very busy day, high call volume. We processed 574 registrations just on our opening day alone. Our next update is on park reservations. We have revamped our entire park reservation process to include COVID-19 language and also policies and procedures. We have begun our application and reservation process with our first reservations taking place this weekend in our parks, so that's really exciting. We currently have approximately about 57, 58 people on the waiting list for this summer for the months of mid-June through early part of September right now. So it's definitely going to be a busy summer and people are very excited to get back out and celebrate with their friends and family. And we're happy to see that happen. My final update is just sharing with a change that we've had within the administrative division. We're kind of facing a pretty significant staffing shortage right now. We currently have one full-time staff member scheduled. We are working through to fill a open office assistant position that will help us kind of bridge some gaps throughout the week. And so in the meantime, we are kind of filling in those other bigger gaps while we are working to fill these new positions with just help from other departments. And then our rec staff is stepping up, aquatics. So we're just working as a whole as usual. So it's Parks and Rec team as usual. Any questions?
I was just wondering, and I may have missed it somewhere along the way, but is the city offices planning to reopen? Are they open to the public at this time, or any plans for that?
They are currently still closed, Kathy, so we are not, there's occasion where we will set up appointments if there's really something we can't assist customers with over the telephone or walk them through online. We've digitalized the majority of our processes, so we don't feel an extreme need to open right now. And we're still waiting for the June 15th deadline to kind of drive us in what direction and kind of give us those timelines.
And I'll add the other thing is we are also keeping an eye on current OSHA guidance relative to employees and how and what we do as far as opening. I would guess that we might start dabbling with an open city hall later in the summer.
I had a question. Are the bathrooms open at the parks?
Bathrooms are open the permanent restrooms are open at each of the parks. So Kimberly, Shenandoah, and is that it? Kimberly and Shenandoah. are the two that are open, and Community Park 1 and back to on a reservation basis. So if you have a reservation for the shelter, then you get a key and you have access to that restroom as well.
And what about the portable bathrooms at the other parks? Are they gonna come back anytime soon?
The Public Works Department is working on a plan to be very selective in putting back the Porta-John unit in after July.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further comments, we'll move on to item C5, receive a brief status update on park-related projects and the volunteer program.
And Chair, I'll give this report. This is what I have traditionally relied on Shilon to do. We talked about the volunteer and conservation program already, so I'll skip through that. We are working with 3 Eagle Scouts for potential projects in the community. We have one that's pretty well set, which is helping to patch some areas out of the wetlands trail areas, patching some potholes and some of the crowning that was sloughing off on the decomposed granite parts of the trail. The other 2 projects are still a work in progress. We have several months to plan those before we settle on them more. We do have a group of scouts that are continuing to water at the Newell open space. They originally took on after the fires 18 months or so ago. They planted a bunch of trees and they have continued to water them for the last 18 months. So that's continuing. No real significant update on the grazing management plan. Napa RCD is creating a carbon capture grazing plan for us. Their consultant is off crunching numbers and coming up with a plan for us. We'll have some more information, it seems like, in July. The Philaday Conservation Fund and the wildlife cameras continues. We get the data from those every month. And probably the final, actually there's a couple other items here. The really kind of cool thing that we have, if you remember several years ago, the American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation sponsored the creation of some barn owl boxes out at the wetlands. There were 2 of them that were installed. We get a report this time of year, each year, on the status of those boxes. And you can see here that we have our 2 boxes are both full. The first box actually has a mom and 6 chicks in it. And go back. And the second one has a single male barn owl. And if you had the opportunity to read the report, the gentleman that wrote the report speculated that the single male was getting away from the family of full barn owls in the other box, but there were likely a couple. So that was kind of cool, kind of interesting. So that's the barn owl box. We have several grants. Not really. Actually, there is one development on the Habitat Conservation Fund grant. That grant was coming up due at the end of summer, and we were fortunate to have received a 2-year extension. So we have a couple years to get that off, added to the project, so that we can complete it and have it come into have it completed successfully. The rest of the grants, there's not really been any progress on them. We are investigating a potential opportunity to partner with RCD in the city of Napa to create an urban forest master plan. really this is a project of the city of Napa, and we'll likely just tag team onto it because we don't have a whole lot of resources to put into managing it at this point. 2 projects for this year. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, council approved a design amendment to get the Newell Open Space Trail project underway. Contract is done, and we are going to start scheduling that project to begin here in the next couple of weeks. The design part of it, that is. And design will take several months, and then we'll turn around and bid it and get it out to construction, likely in the late winter, early spring for next year. Wetlands restoration, reclamation and recreation project. There's a lot of interest around this. The word is getting out that we've done this, and we have some different components that folks are interested in. The latest one I heard from just this last week was the Bay Area Water Trail. So that is a portion of kind of, if you think about the Bay Trail and you think about kayaking on the bay, this is that portion, that segment of it. And so they're really excited about the potential of having another kayak launch that can connect into the Bay Area Water Trail. So we'll add them into this project as a potential partner as we move forward. And we have a couple projects planned for next year. And that is my real brief update on our projects. I'll take any questions that the commission may have.
I'm curious about the video of the barn owls. Did somebody just kind of do that with their phone and see what's in the box?
Yeah, I assume so. I'm not entirely sure, but we actually got a video like this last year from them as well. It is a common practice when they go in to check on the boxes that they'll stick a camera in there to just get a sense of what's in there and who's effectively in there. The Napa Wildlife Rescue, who manages them, have been very enthusiastic about our boxes. It's uncommon for new boxes to be filled right away, and we're going on our 2nd year now of both boxes being used and filled right away. So it's to them, it's a message that we can probably stand to have a few more barn owl boxes out there.
Right, future project. And perhaps this is an item for future consideration, but the wildlife camera pictures I recall seeing at an earlier PCS meeting, I believe Shaylon presented those, was well, just really, really interesting and neat. And if there's an opportunity to see more or see updated, see what's happening out there, I would definitely welcome that.
All right, we've turned over the management of that to a volunteer, so I'll question them to see if they might be willing to put together a brief presentation to share for the commission's sake.
Is that Sean Hughes?
It is, in fact.
Oh, well, awesome. He's a good guy. So, well, great. I don't have any further questions. My fellow commissioners have any other questions? Okay. Moving on to item C6, receiving a report by the director on various topics.
Yes, Chair. So I do have included in my report several update items. There is actually one that's not on there that I do need to bring to the Commission's attention, and that is that our agenda process, we're changing our agenda management software to a new company. So come our meeting in August, from what you all see, it won't likely change a whole lot. But the one big change that will occur is that the committee reports will move to the end of the agenda. We're, as a part of this, going to make all of our committee and council agendas the same, have the same format and the same cadence. And we happen to be, actually our 2 committees, Open Space and PCS, are the 2 that have the committee commissioner comments up front. All the rest of them have them at the end. So that'll change to the end. And then the second item is that we will only be using city email addresses to send you information because the agenda management software only will use city email addresses. So if we are sending you information on a private email, please reach out to Liz and make sure that you know how to and can access your city email address. It'll be very important as we move forward in this new system. That's the first kind of big new important thing. Our budget was approved June 1st, so that's great. We're moving ahead. Have a pretty solid set of ideas of where we're going. I provided you the update on the May 18th City Council meeting already regarding Clark Ranch. Provided that update in the Parks and Rec Element Committee update. At the June 1st council meeting, there were several public comments about us not offering a Memorial Day ceremony and basically feeling like we should have. Notable item coming up next week on June 15th is a city council discussion on the circulation element and the West Side Connector. I understand there's a lot of interest, especially in the northern end of town, about this topic. So if you happen to be interested, it would be a good meeting to sit through and to listen and potentially provide some comments and feedback should you be so inclined. Council does not have a meeting on July 6th. We have helped out and participated, and really I shouldn't say we, it's really been Alana has been doing a lot of work in putting proclamations together for City Council and coordinating with groups and organizations that are accepting those. So June 1st, we coordinated with the Pride Proclamation. Alana's worked on and coordinated for June 15th, Juneteenth on June 15th. And then we're putting together a Parks and Recreation Month proclamation, which will be delivered to council on July 20th. There is a chance that we might have in-person council on July 20th. And if so, and we have this proclamation on there, it might be good for commission to go and represent us at council that night. So as we get closer and I have a little better sense, I'll send you out a message and let you know if we're going to go down that path. And lastly, on the items for update, our project management, I think we've settled Public Works Director Smithies and I are settling into, I think, what'll be a good relationship with engineering staff managing our capital projects. So just want to give an update on that we've kind of worked through a transition, and our new open space project will be, trail project will be the first one that we go through on it in this new system. And then in the agenda, I have what I think will be a couple items for our August meeting that we can talk about in a moment. Pause there and see if there's any comments before we move on.
I have one, just a clarification on the emails, on our city emails. So currently, anything that's sent to my city email is forwarded to my personal email. Is that now not going to, will that no longer happen?
I believe it will continue. Liz, can you help me out here?
Yeah, so that's fine, Clarence. We just won't be directly sending anything to your personal email.
Oh, okay.
So you're fine to set it up that way. Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
I have a question about Memorial Day. Because I read and watched all the different comments that were going around. And I don't recall, so maybe it was stated, but it wasn't something I thought of at the time. But was it not offered because there at the time because of COVID restrictions and in-person programming, and there really hasn't been any group programming? Was it also maybe a budgetary thing because of the budget cuts and they're not being in the budget, or what? I'm not sure if the public knows what the reasoning was behind that not being offered.
It was mostly COVID restrictions. We've not had any public events at all where we've encouraged gathering. All of what we've done up to this point has been drive-through or walk-through events and activities. And we have been targeting really since the winter that 4th of July was likely going to be our first real gathering of any significance, assuming the COVID conditions would allow it. We know that Memorial Day is popular in the community, and should we have offered it, we would have had to be very, very creative in having to manage the amount of people that were there. We are still under the California blueprint, and we were in the orange tier until yesterday. And under the orange tier, the most you can have gather is 50 people. So knowing that we typically have an audience at Memorial Day of between 200 and 300, and from what I heard and saw, there were roughly around 200 people there. We would have had to figure out a way of trying to keep that down to within what the COVID guidelines were at the time. It certainly seems as though it was an oversight on our part not to have done anything. But we likely couldn't have offered it the same way it was offered by the community volunteers.
I mean, it seemed nice, and I, as far as what I saw, I didn't attend, but that maybe the different groups that participated would want to be part of event planning in the future, because it seems like they did a really nice job in involving different groups of people, and that maybe that would be a good way to involve different groups in the future.
When we organize Memorial Day, we partner with all of those same groups, or most of them anyways.
I have some comments. It has to do also with Memorial Day. Like I said on my commissioner comments, it was a beautiful, well-planned, last-minute plan celebration or event. I think the problem that the biggest problem that I see and I heard and read and is that the messaging or the way that it was communicated, that the city was not going to do anything but go to Vallejo. And so when you explained to us that we were on the orange tier and only 50 people, but then you tell us on the official communication that go over to Vallejo where they're actually in the red tier and go get infected over there, I think that part was, I think it shouldn't be said, go somewhere else. The other issue is, and I was one of the people that spoke on public comment. My first volunteer opportunity was on the 4th of July committee, and that was a citizen volunteer committee that helped run the 4th of July festivities and also the Veterans and Memorial Day events. And that was taken away. So it's what this Memorial Day event showed is that people in the community want to volunteer, want to be part of it, and they want to have, or we want to have those committees back. So I don't see on the agenda comments for future, but I would like to say right now that if we can in the August meeting, if we could, talk about bringing back those citizen committees. So if I could get a follow-up on that, that would be great, because it's wanted and I feel like it's needed. Thank you.
For Commissioner Cervantes, it's an item that's been asked about by council, and I understand the city manager's office is working on it. So it's not likely going to be discussed in this venue, but it may likely be discussed at council.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other commissioner comments? Okay, doesn't look like there are any. I'm looking at the agenda. I actually, I don't see items for further consideration, so I'll just bring that up now. Does the commission have any items for future consideration?
And Chair, I'll just remind the group that there were 3 items I had proposed in my update, which includes the informational presentation on cost recovery, update on the conservation program, and an update on the Parks and Rec element.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? I mean,
No. I purposely didn't bring it up in my report because I knew that the topic was coming up here shortly.
Understood. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so items for future consideration. Do we have any from the commission?
Well, I just would like to ask for what I just said about 4th of July committee and Memorial and Veterans. I would like to have it considered for future.
Okay, and my item for future consideration actually involves Commissioner Moon. So we talked about your presenting your honorary commissioner ideas at the August PCS meeting. Is that a realistic goal? I'm just checking in with you about that.
Yes, I didn't know if I would bring it up now or when, but I do plan on presenting in August. I'm not quite done with school yet. School ends next Wednesday, but I've just been really busy with AP tests and finals, but I will start working next week after school and also the whole month of July because we have that off. So I think I'll be ready to present by August. I will email you to give you a heads up way before August to let you know any changes or if I'm ready or not.
Okay. Well, I think given that, I think it's safe to agendize your report for August 2021, conditionally, of course. Your school takes precedence. We will continue to email and talk and I guess work that up for the August meeting. But yes, Commissioner Wright, can we just go ahead and put that on the agenda for August?
Quick question, Chair. Would I be I know how I'm supposed to present, but would I be presenting on my multiple ideas or just one?
I think we'll have a clearer answer on that after you and I email and talk and kind of work it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just answer your question. All of that is there's a potential for all of that, but we'll throw that stuff on the wall, on the ceiling, and see what sticks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other items for future consideration? Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries, and our PCS meeting is adjourned at 9:26 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, good night.
Yep, good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Recording stopped.